Welcome to Water Online Radio's coverage from WEFTEC, broadcasting live from New Orleans, Louisiana. WEFTEC 16, creating the future of water. Water Online Radio is brought to you by wateronline.com, showcasing today's water industry leaders and innovators. And now, here's your host, Todd Schnick.
All right, good afternoon and welcome back to our 6th year of coverage from WEFTEC. I'm your host, Todd Schnick, joined by my friend and colleague, Travis Kennedy. Boy, home stretch here. What a great day it's been.
It seems like it's only been maybe an hour since we started this show this morning. It really does. It's flown by. And I can't explain why. Could it be the energy surrounding the show floor? Perhaps it is. Could it be a lot of the new technologies, one of which we're really going to get a chance to talk about soon? It's really been kind of a blur. But, man, I'm excited about this next guest.
I am, too. It has been a great day. And this next conversation, as you say, promises to be very, very intriguing. Let's get to it. We're joined now by Timothy Pasqualini. He's a business development manager for North America for HelioPure. Tim, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, well, thank you for making time to join us. I know you're very busy here at this WEFTEC, and it looks like we all are. So grateful for you stopping by and giving us some time. Our audience probably needs to become more familiar with you, so take a few quick seconds, tell us a bit about you and your background, and then do that quick overview of HelioPure. What do you do? How do you serve your market?
Sure. So I'm newly arrived in the U.S. as a business development manager. The HelioPure is a French company, and we're relatively small. We have about 7 employees right now. And it was really important to reach out to the U.S. market, and this is why I have been in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at the Global Water Center, which is organized by the Water Council, and I'm very grateful there. They can host me for this year, and we are here to try to promote and network and contact a lot of people about our technology, because it's an innovative system and it requires quite a bit of explaining before you can actually.
Well, I want you to do just that right now. So Travis promised some pretty cool technology, so give us the lowdown on it in as few words as you can.
Sure. The HelioPure has this new patented system which is called BioSolar Purification, and it's really important to insist on the solar part because we only require sun energy to actually make our system works, and a bit of electricity to make the water circulate through it. It relies on photosynthetic microorganisms such as algae, bacteria, and others, and they are the ones that degrade and eat up the nutrients of the wastewater you give it to them. What's really innovative about this system is that there is very little energy consumption, as I mentioned, because we use a vacuum airlift, which creates a vacuum to circulate the water. So it's not like a typical pump. And the only energy, as I mentioned, is the sunlight that feeds that the photosynthetic microorganisms require. We add no chemicals, and in the end, you have clean water that is non-potable, because we really want to go into the water reuse market, the non-potable reuse market. And throughout the process, you actually don't even emit any greenhouse gases. We're actually carbon negative in terms of the bugs, the microorganisms. They consume more CO2 from the atmosphere than they produce, and that is also another big advantage that we have of their typical conventional technologies, which usually emit quite a bit of greenhouse gases. So in the end, you have 100% water recovery yield, which is important for water reuse. And you have no chemical input, which means your costs can be low, and you have this relatively clean water that's great for all kinds of purposes, such as irrigation, for parks and agriculture. Industrial reuse can be also happen, and then we're thinking also for like hotels and tourism industry that might have large amount of water and wastewater, and also needs for irrigation, something like that.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit further. You just did a great job of explaining the technology and some of the benefits of it. But when you compare it to existing systems, what makes yours unique?
Well, I think that if you look around here at WEFTEC, there is a lot of interesting technologies and ideas on how to treat wastewater. A lot of it has to do with big, expensive machines that requires a lot of engineering, civil engineering to put them in place, and a lot of energy to make them run, or chemicals. And we have practically none of that. We actually use biodiversity, naturally existing biodiversity that is found in any kind of water on the world, and they tend to be actually quite the same. So you have bacteria, and you have algae, and also some fungi. And they exist, and what we just do is we give them the perfect environment for them to grow, which is a photobioreactor. So you have a plastic tube, and then they have plenty of nutrients, which is the wastewater, and we give them a little bit of CO2, which is found everywhere on the planet too, so it's not that hard to procure, and to boost the production. And what they do is just eat the nitrogen, they eat the phosphorus, and they get a bit of CO2 boost, and they turn into this biomass, which is this green algae-like form, which usually is not a good sign, but in our system it's great. So we basically use a natural ecological process, we boost it within our system, and that is about it. I think it's the simplicity of it then that makes it low cost operationally, and also for capital costs are quite limited, which makes our system quite unique and innovative. And that's why it's a bit difficult too, because you got to explain how different it is. But I think it's not that hard to get, is it?
I think I got it.
I got it.
And the simplicity is appealing. I mean, I have to be honest with you, it really is. You touched on some of the markets that you're looking at, particularly here in the U.S. market where you guys are just breaking in. But, since you've, I wish I could ask this question of you on Wednesday at the end of the show versus at the end of day one. But I'd love to know, only two parts. Just focus again on the markets that you are planning to serve, where you think you're going to get the quickest immediate impact. And then what kind of questions and feedback are you getting here at WEFTEC so far? It's still pretty early in the event, but I bet you've gotten some insight so far.
Well, the market is an interesting question, because we, as a new company, we keep on hearing about new applications of our technology, and actually when we hear a lot about from people who say your technology is very interesting, but they might not be extremely interested in the water reuse part. They're just maybe interested in how the process is done, because as I mentioned, we don't emit any greenhouse gases, so they may be interested in this. So for example, in the dairy sector in California, that's about trying to reduce its methane emission, our technology could work for them because our technology doesn't emit any methane. So maybe that's the principal argument for them. And in California, there's, needless to say, that there's a dire need for additional water resources, so water reuse would just boost that process. And then in terms of industry, there is a variety of wastewater we can treat. And then we're even thinking of maybe expanding to oil mining, although that might be a bit more difficult to reach right at next to. But right now, in terms of what we have achieved, is we're about to build a pilot in Algeria for an industrial plant. And in Saudi Arabia, it's in the dairy sector, in the largest integrated dairy farm in the world, we are about to treat their flush water from the milking parlor, and that's going to help them saving some water, because they also have very, very little water in Saudi Arabia. So I think the dairy sector, combined with this the industrial appeal, the appeal that we have from the industrial factories and managers, that is something that we are looking into. But there is so many applications that we're open to new ideas. Actually, you just mentioned, what do we hear here in WEFTEC? We hear that hog farming it could be actually a great application, because it produces a massive amount of ammonia, and that is something we deal great with. So hog farming is something we're going to have to look into after WEFTEC a little more.
Interesting.
You and I, before we came on air, talked a little bit about the expansion of your company and coming into new markets and coming into the U.S. and Mexico and areas that need water reuse. So if you could, in 30 seconds or less, as a game show here, explain to the listeners here what the next steps are in terms of development here in the U.S.
So here in the U.S., as we're a fresh new company in this country, people want to see our technology works on American soil before they can say, okay, I'm ready to invest and give you and trust you. Although our system works really great in Spain and in France right now. So the short term is really having more pilots on the site in California, Arizona, anywhere that has a lot of sun, because the technology requires sun. And then this medium term would be really getting investors and partners so we can open an office and fully launch commercially here.
It's very, very exciting. And Travis, I have to tell you, we've been talking about reuse since we started the show back in 2011. But I'm talking about, I've never had more in-depth conversation about actual practical implementations of reuse strategies and plans and pilots. It seems to be the hot thing now. This seems to be the most common thing I've talked about today on this show. So it's good timing, I think, for what you're doing, because your technology sounds like it really could be intriguing there.
Yeah, I think it's a good fit because of this low-cost approach that we have, and it's completely ecological too.
Yeah. Need in the marketplace, new innovative technologies. That's a perfect marriage.
So that's how business works, right?
That's it. I believe so.
Got it. Well, Tim, we're out of time. Before I let you go, should anyone have any questions on this amazing technology, how can they contact you and where can they learn more about HelioPure?
So you can visit our website, HelioPure.com, HelioPure.com, and you can also reach me by email or phone. And I think you'll have all the information on your website.
We absolutely do, and we'll certainly have it up in the show notes. So Tim Pasqualini, the Business Development Manager with North America with HelioPure. Great to have you. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to having you back on the show in a year's time and hearing about the progress. All right. That's all the time we have for today. Check out all of our broadcasts from WEFTEC at New Orleans and wateronlineradio.com. Thanks for listening to the show. And on behalf of all of us at Water Online, Tochnik signing off. Water Online Radio will be right back.